What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hopefully you've subscribed on iTunes or Google Play. That's pretty much where you're going to get it. And Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. Yeah, those are the other two I got. Hopefully you subscribed on one of those channels. Hopefully you like the show. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Chris Gannon. I met this man on the Comedy Button Facebook group. So he joins us to share his stories today. Hopefully you guys enjoy. I wonder if you guys can take a guess at what his favorite game is. And if you guys said Mario, you guys are really wrong. So if you did, I'm really sorry that you didn't put two and two together, but that's okay. If you guys want to be on the show, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116, or go ahead and follow the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also do have a Facebook group, which not a lot of people know about. You can just look up Growing Up Gaming Podcast Group. Go ahead and join there. Trying to build it a little bit, see what happens. So, whatever. If you join, cool. If you don't, that's alright too. Without further ado, let's get things started with Chris Gannon. Do you remember what got you started in gaming? Do you remember if it was a buddy, a family member, kiosk? Do you remember what got you started?
Yeah, my dad got me into gaming from like a very, very, very young age. Like, I can remember playing on an Atari 2600 while I was still in diapers. I remember when my dad got an NES for the first time. So, like, my dad, we used to play games all the time when I was a kid. All the time.
So, he was pretty big into it prior to you being around then, so it sounds like. Did you have brothers and sisters, like older siblings that were into it, like, that helped you get into it as well?
No, I'm the oldest of the two of us, me and my sister. I have a brother from another. My mom got remarried, but no, it was just really my dad. My dad was like, I remember like playing the original Legend of Zelda at like the age of 3.
That's
with
awesome.
Him, and like him being like me trying to play it, and him being like, "No, you got to go in the cave and get the sword. You're not going to be able to kill anything. You got to go in the cave and get the sword." And I'll be like, "No, I just want to go to the beach."
Yeah, I want to see the waves, Dad, the pixelated waves. I just want to see how pretty the game is. And they're like, no, dude, you gotta go get a sword. You gotta go do this.
At 3 years old, that stuff looked amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's sad because, I mean, like, I'm sure anything to a 3-year-old, like, their brain is just, everything's new. So now imagine what they're seeing now, dude.
Yeah, hey,
Lego
look, it
Batman
looks like a
4K.
Pixar movie.
Yeah, exactly. They're seeing Lego Batman in 4K, and they're like, oh my god, this is the life. This is the best thing ever. Yeah, it's, yeah, I mean, it's also weird to think about it that way, too. Like, you can't really play Zelda without walking into that cave and getting that sword. That's kind of your, you kind of got to go do that. I'm sure there's speed runs. Like, is there anything?
You don't have to.
You don't have to. But I mean, like, you should. I'm sure there's speed runs of, like, non-sword speed runs.
Since we're talking about the Zelda, and you asked about the sword, Zelda is my favorite game series of all time, like The Legend of Zelda, because I played it with my dad, and me and my dad had a very tumultuous relationship as I got older. But, like, I played the original Legend of Zelda once every 3 months.
Oh, geez. So I'm sure you got that game kind of down to a T. Like, can you do most of it just with your eyes closed for the most part?
Not with my eyes closed, but like I've walked my buddy through his first playthrough on an emulator. I could beat it without getting the sword.
Jeez.
It's one of those things.
Well, again, I mean, and it's funny is like, I'm trying to think back and remember if obviously I've played Zelda, but I'm trying to remember if I ever beat Zelda, which I don't remember if I ever have or not, which is weird. Like, I mean, it's weird because like back then, like games, like beating a game, some games just didn't really have an end, you know, you just kind of played them, but then of course those story-based games you had that end. But yeah, I remember playing Zelda. I vividly remember it, but I don't honestly remember beating it. I remember actually the one Zelda I put the most time into was Link's Awakening on Game Boy. Like, that was the one that I remember. My buddy Gary, he had a Game Boy and had that, and I was just like, this is incredible. And I remember playing the hell out of that, but for whatever reason I didn't play much of the very first Zelda. Definitely didn't play Zelda 2 because I would have like remembered how jarringly different it was.
Oh, so jarringly different.
It's so jarringly different. How funny is it though that like that is so different? And then same thing with Mario 2, which, you know, obviously when we're dumb kids, we don't realize that Mario 2 is a completely different game that they just threw Mario skins on. And, you know, once you grow up and like, if you give a shit to go look back there, you're like, oh, that wasn't even a Mario game. That was a completely different game. And then they were just like, make him look like Mario. And that's what ended up being Mario 2 here. So it's kind of odd that sequels, well, at least Mario and Zelda, had such jarring differences in gameplay.
And Castlevania.
Yes. Absolutely. Man, what was up? I wonder, like, we could look back. I wonder if people just was like, oh, this game's really good. Let's try something completely different. Like, they would never do that in a million years now. Like, they'd be like, this first one worked. Make it just like that one. Add a new weapon, a new side character, and make another one. Keep pumping them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody
takes risks anymore.
No. Well, so people take risks, but now it's just more the indie stuff. Because, like, yeah, God forbid EA or Ubisoft or any of those companies take big risks. I mean, the only one I will say is I will say Sony at least is trying to introduce more IP. Like they'll, you know, like Uncharted, like they could have just kept telling Naughty Dog, make Uncharted. And then they were like, hey, can we do Last of Us, please? And they were just like, yeah, let's do that. And now, of course, now they're just going to be like, can you do 2? Can you do 3? Can you do 4? Like, they're just going to run that into the ground now that they're done with Uncharted. But, I mean, now it's more the indie stuff where there's the huge risk. But it just sucks when cool indie shit comes out and then nobody plays it.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that's really bumming. So, or indie games come out and people love them, and then now they just become that factory where all they want to do is just make that one game. That's the only thing I worry about for, like, Cuphead. Because Cuphead's phenomenal. Like,
it's amazing.
Cuphead's phenomenal. I worry, though, that they're going to turn into that Cuphead studio where everybody's going to look for that type of game from them, which, you know, some companies or some teams enjoy that. You know, you got your Gears of War team, who literally the Coalition and 343, those are all companies that make Gears and Halo. If you don't like Gears or Halo, you probably shouldn't work there. Like, that's their game. So I just worry about some studios getting pigeonholed into that. But then again, like, you know, look at Limbo and Inside. They're similar, but different enough, you know? So, I mean, they're just side-scrolling, you know, platformers with puzzle elements, but the art styles of them being at least different differentiate them enough. But I just worry. I just hope they don't. I mean, I would like more Cuphead. I just don't want them to become just pigeonholed to that type of game, or, you know, everybody only just be like, oh yeah, they made Cuphead. I hope that's not their last legacy. Like, oh yeah, those are the guys that made Cuphead.
Anytime that anybody's worried about an indie studio not making getting pigeonholed, I always tell people to look at Super Meat Boy and then look at Binding of Isaac. Same person. Two completely different games.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like some of the, well, like that's the one thing. Like Housemarque, for example. Housemarque was just basically like, you like twin stick shooters? Cool, that's where they're making a bunch of those. And I mean, they try to do it, but or they try to like make them different enough, but then eventually they kind of end up being the same. So I mean, there's companies out there though that do it though, and they do it well. So, you know, again, it would just, I don't know, like, I guess from a game developer, like, if people really like that type of game, then they really enjoy working there. I mean, look at EA, basically. Like, all of EA's studios are fixated on one game. There's not really much, you know, like, oh, this team goes and does this for a little bit, and then does this for a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? You basically, each company makes their own kind of, like, these are the games you make. You know, Black Box, when they were still around, they were like, you're making Skate, and I hope you enjoy it. Like, that's what they do. So, until the game doesn't become popular, and then they just go, oh, by the way, shutting down the studio.
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you do that to Visceral?
I don't know.
It's really sad. But anyways, so, continuing down the road, you did Nintendo, and was your dad pretty much, like, excited to still play games throughout the years, or did he eventually get to a point where he kind of grew out of gaming and then you guys kind of took over?
Me and my dad stopped playing games around like the tail end of the SNES, beginning of the N64 era.
Gotcha. Was it just a matter of he was just like, I'm not as interested in them anymore, I have other shit to do, or was it just like, you were playing so much and he's just like, all right, you have fun. I got other things.
My parents got divorced.
Oh, yeah, I guess that could, jeez. Yeah, that could cause some little bit of issue playing then. So then you just kind of continued on and everything playing games. So then did you and your sister ever play games together? No,
my sister's the complete total opposite of me.
Well, that's no fun. She didn't find any games, like anything that she grasped onto?
No, my sister was like playing with Barbies and doing her own makeup and that kind of stuff.
There wasn't some awesome Barbie horse adventure game she fell in love with?
No. My sister hates video games. Like, she has 2 kids right now, and she hates that her kids like games.
Well, that doesn't sound very nice. Like, what the hell? What's wrong with video games? I mean, yeah, I can imagine. Like, it depends. I mean, each kid's different. Like, my kids, you know, they latched on to video games, which I don't know why, but for some reason. For some weird reason they did. But then also too, like, my son gets to a point where video games become way more fun than, I don't know, schoolwork, chores, responsibilities. So then, you gotta bring him down a notch. So that's the only thing I can say about video games, that, you know, my son will come down and it's cool because we have that bonding moment. You know, he talks about some awesome thing he did in Titanfall, and I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. Did you get your homework done? He's just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take a guess and say you didn't. So there's good and bad, but I mean, hopefully he gets to kids get to a certain age where they can temper it and learn to be like, hey, I want to do this, but you got, like, right now, my son's been grinding from his Xbox for a while for grades, and he's less than thrilled, but hopefully it'll teach him not to play Titanfall and not do his homework like he shouldn't. So
I can't wait till I become that age where I learn how to temper it.
Yeah, right. When's that age happening, right? Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to the point where I play games, but then I'm just so damn busy that I'm very selective with the games that I pick and play. I just got Wolfenstein 2 on Black Friday, played it, beat it, fantastic game, got rid of it immediately so I can get as much money back as possible. I was just like, all right, I'm good. That was a fantastic game, and I'm just going to drop this. Now I'm debating what else to play, but yeah, I mean, it's time's super valuable, especially as you get older and you have a wife and kids and, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, it's a matter of just trying to find the time for it. But it's funny because I don't play as much online as I used to, but PUBG is coming out on Xbox Tuesday, and I'm going to probably stop playing a bunch of other stuff just to play that. So I'll have to find some time, you know, in between recording podcasts and helping kids with homework to find a game of PUBG, and then I'll probably play it for a while, you know, die right away 5-6 times in a row, and then probably never play it again. So that'll probably end up how it happens.
Oh, sounds like me.
Yeah, we'll figure it out though. So then SNES, did you ever dabble in Genesis, or did you have any friends that did Genesis or any of the other consoles as you were growing up?
I had pretty much every console up until the N64.
So, like, when you were younger, you actually had a Super and an SNES and a Genesis?
And a Sega CD, yes.
Oh, you fancy, huh? Look at you.
I fancy.
You fancy.
I had a Jaguar, too, at one point.
Good Lord. Why? To play Alien vs. Predator?
I don't remember why we had it. I think my cousin bought it.
I have to say, no one remembers why they had it. Like, the only game I remember anybody ever saying when they said Jaguar was Alien vs. Predator. So that's the only game that stuck in my head. By the way, never played it. I've never even actually, I don't think I've seen a Jaguar in person. I know the controller's ridiculous. Like, isn't there just like a bunch of switches and shit on that thing or something? Like,
yeah,
isn't it weird?
It's amazing. It's an awesome controller.
I've never messed with it. I've never played one. I did the Sega, the CD32X deal, but I mean, never messed with the Jaguar. Never messed with the TurboGrafx. ColecoVision never messed with. So, oh well. I mean, I'm sure they'll just make mini versions of those soon, right?
Probably. But no, I had every. My dad worked for a really good company for a while until the divorce, so I pretty much had, up until like the age of like 9 or 10, I pretty much had every console in the house.
Were you pretty fortunate about getting games on a regular basis, or was it like a birthday
Christmas
deal?
birthday, Christmas deal only for games.
Right. Big consoles.
Lots of trips to Blockbusters.
Yeah, there you go. That's back in the day, back when the Blockbusters and the Hollywood Videos all ran amok. Did you prefer one console over the other?
Not really. Like, I have really fond memories of playing like Link to the Past and Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island and Final Fantasy VI, which was Final Fantasy III back in the day.
Right.
And I also have like really fond memories of playing all the Sonic games and one of my all-time favorite games, which is Rocket Knight Adventures, which is a Sega Genesis game.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, at least it was cool enough that you had the means to experience all of those and everything. That's super cool, because like I kind of missed out on a lot of the SNES stuff because majority of my friends had Genesis and we just kind of stuck to playing the same games. You know, like we would all get different games to kind of swap and trade and go to other people's houses and play certain things. But like I only had one friend that had a Super Nintendo and he just didn't play games that often. So he had Mario and I think Mario and Metroid, and that was probably it. You know, he just didn't have much. So like that whole SNES generation, he had Mario Kart. We did play that. But like it was just kind of weird because I missed out on a lot of those things. And now if I really wanted to, I could just go get a classic and plug it in and stuff. But I'm also kind of to the point where, you know, I'm like, I mean, I know they're good, but also too, there's just way too much stuff I got going on now. So I'll just play what's going on now. Might as well. So when you went later on down the road and everything, so you went to 64, did you continue?
I didn't go to 64. I went to PlayStation. Well, I went to the Dreamcast, or actually.
So then you did not go 64 route.
I did not go 64 originally, no.
Gotcha. Which, I mean, it sucks because I think a lot of people hopped on the PlayStation then, you know, instead of like going to the 64, but I mean, 64 still had solid games. So then you went PlayStation, but that was like you were saying, that's when you did not have everything. So you had PlayStation, and that was kind of your main console then going forward?
I had the PlayStation, and then I traded my Jaguar for an N64.
That was probably a really good move.
So I had the 64 a few years after it came out. So I got to experience some of the games on it, but not like everything when it first came out.
Sure.
So
I mean, at least, you know, again, I think that was a smart move, though. Jaguar for 64. And,
it was just something that my cousin was like, I want your Jaguar. And I was like, I want your 64. And we were like, tradesies?
Tradesies? Question mark? Dude, and like nobody's parents got all pissed off because that was like forbidden in my neighborhood. Like, you don't swap consoles. Like, I can borrow a game and you could borrow a game and we're cool, dude. If I swap one of my friends, like, consoles, my mom would be like, take that back to his house right now. Like, we're not trading this back.
It was with my cousin. I think my aunt and uncle like kind of felt bad that, you know, like as a kid I'm sitting here, just went through this really nasty divorce with my parents, and now it was like, here you go, have yeah, sure, he can keep it, whatever, we don't care, we'll just buy you another one.
Did your cousin ask to trade it back after he got the Jaguar?
No, he did not ask to trade it back. I think his mom bought him a 64 like 2 weeks later.
Oh, okay.
Another one.
Okay, that works. I wonder how that went. I wonder if he got the Jaguar and then like played it, and then all of a sudden throughout he's like, "Hey, Ma,
exactly.
This can I ask for that back?" And they're probably like, "We'll just buy you a new one. Don't worry about it." He's like, "Okay."
Yeah. So like I remember playing Pokemon Snap, and the first video game I bought with my own money was Super Smash Brothers on the N64.
There you go.
So like I remember that stuff. But like PlayStation was my console of choice.
Right.
Like Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil 2, back when PlayStation games came in old cardboard DVD boxes.
Dude, I remember that because when I got my PlayStation, they were all Jewel CD cases, but then I remember going to some game stores and seeing like Resident Evil in this gigantic box, and I'm like, dude, what is that? What is that case about? And I remember because the Sega CD games came in that, but they were like Jewel case, giant cases, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
but the PlayStation ones were cardboard.
Yeah, they were cardboard. So I don't know about that and everything, but yeah, I didn't. I remember I played Resident Evil, but I didn't get to play Resident Evil until, again, I got my PlayStation later on. I actually got the DualShock when the DualShock started coming bundled with the PlayStation.
Okay.
That's when I picked mine up. And the very first game I remember getting was Resident Evil DualShock Edition. So that was when they added the fancy the analog controls. Ooh.
Oh,
that was a big,
I remember when that was such a big deal.
It was such a big deal. And it was just like, dude, like all these games all of a sudden now DualShock support, and you're like, dude, what is this? This is crazy. And then I remember Ape Escape, like how many people that had to piss off because that was the first one that required the DualShock.
Yep.
And I'm sure that pissed off a bunch of people at Blockbuster because I'm sure they swapped that game out a bunch of times. But that's all right. By the way, to this day, that little analog digital button, I still don't know what it did or if it did anything special.
No idea what the hell the red light did.
Yeah, right. Right, seriously, like no
idea.
Hey, Sony, if anybody there listens, I don't have that many listeners, but if anybody who works at Sony knows the fucking answer, please tell me. Because I remember just that button, I was like, analog, click in and out, and I'm like, this doesn't do anything. It's not turbo. Because that's the only buttons we had on controllers before that lit up were turbo buttons. I was like,
did it turn the rumble on and off?
No, because the rumble's like always on. That's why I'm telling you, dude, it's like a mystery. It's just one of those things. Like, where do socks go in the dryer when you miss a sock? Where does that go? It's the same mystery.
Because it was a digital button, so I'm wondering if it was supposed to cut down on latency.
Maybe, or like maybe some games like it didn't work like unless it was digital. I don't know, dude. I'm telling you, like I bet you if I Google it, I would have to look to find out what the button did.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I would want to know, I want to know game differences. You know what I mean? How funny would it be if Digital Foundry came out with a video? It's like, what the PlayStation button did. They go back and they do tests with the button on and off. I don't know, dude. I'm just like, I don't know what that button ever did, but I just remember it being there and I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah, dude, Metal Gear, Resident Evil, as soon as you said those two, that was immediately for me too. Like, we played Resident Evil all day long. Metal Gear Solid. We also did, of course, we were big wrestling fans, so we did all the wrestling games and stuff like that, which that was where you really wanted to have a friend who had the other system because the games were just so vastly different between PlayStation and 64. You were just like, man, who's got an N64 so we can play No Mercy? Who's got a PlayStation so we can play SmackDown? Like, that was such a big deal. That was like, it's also crazy to think about that too now because that probably doesn't happen too much either. Besides like mobile and console, you know, like that type of like drastic difference between consoles just doesn't happen anymore.
Well, it's happening now with the Switch though.
Yeah, depending on the developer, I guess, because like the way that EA did FIFA was like atrocious. Like, they had that FIFA version for Switch that was just like a bastardized version of like the 360 version. But then NBA wasn't terrible. It just looked a little different, like graphically, which obviously there's no way in hell you can make, you know, NBA 2K on a Switch look as good as it does on PS4 or Xbox One. Like, no possible way. But then it's funny that certain games, like when they announced Doom and Wolfenstein for Switch, I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy that they announced those for that. And to quote my friend Mike, Doom on Switch isn't completely terrible. Like,
it's not. It's actually quite good.
I know. I heard that and I was like, oh, well, that's encouraging. Like, that it's not completely terrible. Like, that's what the best thing you have to say isn't everything.
You haven't lived until you're sitting on the toilet shooting Nazis.
Dude, and I know, however, I heard one person say, I'm going to hold off on getting Wolfenstein until it's out on Switch. And I'm like, I get that. However, as playing it on an Xbox One X, man, you got to play it on like the other consoles first. I'm not saying don't support it on Switch. Get it afterwards. But like, also, too, it's a really good game. Like, anybody who has not played Wolfenstein, please go play it. It's a fantastic game. I think it's coming out on Switch in, like, early 2018. I don't even think they have, like, a firm release date on it.
Too bad I'm busy playing a bunch of other stuff and not touching Wolfenstein this year.
Yeah. Like, that's, again, you just gotta pick and choose. So, at least, dude, a bunch of games just got delayed. Like, I think Far Cry got delayed till, like, March. So I'm like, good. Fucking push that bitch into June. I don't care. I got so many other things playing right now. Like, I did the whole Black Friday haul where I bought myself all my Christmas gifts. So I got South Park, Assassin's Creed, Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein, and out of those 4, I pulled Wolfenstein. I was like, no, I have to play this one now. And then I got other stuff to play, so I don't need to worry about it. So, but yeah, so then PlayStation, you kind of stuck there, and then eventually you traded in Jaguar, got your 64. So as you continued, did you even bother going GameCube then, or did you just stick PlayStation? Oh, you did go GameCube. Okay.
I did go GameCube.
Did you, so how old were you around that time? Because you weren't old enough to be like working, making money to where you could buy your own consoles at that point.
I was.
Oh, were you? Okay.
I was 14 when the GameCube and the Xbox came out.
Okay. So then you were basically just working, getting money, just trying to... What all systems did you end up with during that generation?
I bought everything but the PS2 myself.
Oh, wow. There you go. So
the PS2 was given to me as a gift for Christmas the year it came out.
Nice. And then you also said you had a Dreamcast. So
I did have a Dreamcast.
Was that something that you were excited to get and then bummed when it kind of like disappeared and kind of declined?
Dreamcast is my second favorite console of all time.
It's funny because, again, I just never got a chance to experience it that well. You know, I was just like, it just wasn't something that was around. And Mike, my buddy Mike, who's been on the show, the way I met him is I worked at Game Crazy, and he would come in trying to get a complete Dreamcast collection. And, yeah, like he was always in there just looking through the Dreamcast games, and we had not many at all, but he'd come in.
He's still looking for a complete Dreamcast collection?
No, I don't think he is. I don't think he is now. He's too busy. He has I think he has a complete Disney Infinity collection. Why? I don't know. I just remember all of a sudden he was super obsessed with them and bummed when they stopped, but he was just into he was way more into that game than I thought anybody else would ever be. And, when I did the podcast with him, we did a video chat because I haven't talked to him. We talked for hours, but we only recorded a little bit of it. But I saw behind him there's this shelf with like every Disney Infinity character. Even like apparently there was like a special version of a character that only came with the Vita version, so he got that. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Mike, who bought the Vita version for an exclusive character? And he's like, I did. I'm like, yeah, you might be one of like 10. I don't know. That's kind of crazy, but everybody's got their own thing that they collect. So, yeah, eventually I think he got rid of his Dreamcast collection for something. I'm sure something stupid and not productive, but whatever. He had the fishing rod controller. He had the keyboard. He had Seaman with the microphone. Like, he had a good amount of stuff, so.
Dude, Dreamcast was an amazing console. It was ahead of its time, which is why it failed.
Right. And I mean, yeah, so I mean, there's a couple of reasons. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did it fail? Because it was, it was ahead of its time. Obviously, there was like the online play, which was really ahead of its time. I mean, eventually, like, obviously it was on PC and stuff, but like consoles, like it was built, you had that, disc-based things, like it had really nice graphics, but also too, I remember, wasn't it stupid easy to pirate games?
It was stupid easy to pirate games, and they also didn't have very much third-party support. Right.
Like, I mean, only Sega can only have so much happen on it and everything. But then I remember, like, so many people were saying how Soul Calibur, like, was amazing on it, and, like, Power Stone was another one that people say, and Crazy Taxi, and, like, there were certain games that I remember people, when you think, and it's the same thing, I guess, like, when you think certain games, you think certain consoles, even though it's multi-platform, like, some people, when they think of certain games, they just go, oh, that system is why. So, yeah, I mean, well, some of them were exclusive, it's not like...
Well, Soul Calibur was an exclusive Dreamcast game for a very long time.
Right, exactly, and then... Did it ever come... I don't think it ever came out on PlayStation or anything, did it? It was 2 that came out for everything.
Yes, it was 2 that came out for everything.
But it never came out on Dreamcast, because by the time 2 came out, Dreamcast was done.
Dreamcast was dead, yep.
Right. Because I remember Soul Calibur 1, and that was like a big game everybody and their mother wanted. Like, everybody wanted that game. Every time they came in looking for Dreamcast shit, it was always that. But then, yeah, because the only reason I remember Soul Calibur not coming to Dreamcast is because I worked at Game Crazy at the time, and they had the 3 exclusive characters, which, dude, GameCube, of course, caught the best one. Like, no,
but it was the worst character.
Yeah.
Of the three.
But everybody was all happy that he was in the game. There was like Link's in the game. This is amazing. And then everybody's like, the weird one was Spawn. Cause you're just like, what does Spawn have to do with Xbox? Nothing. That's what. Like nothing. Like at least Tekken,
hey,
you know, like dude, what does Spawn have to do with Xbox?
Microsoft learned their lesson, which is why there's a Spartan in DOA 4.
Right. Yeah, they had to do something. Well, dude, at least the cool thing now is the fact that they have Killer Instinct where they can put whatever frigging characters they want from Microsoft's history in there, which is really cool that they did that. I mean, they have Ram, they have Arbiter. I want to say they had somebody else. Battletoads dude. I don't remember his name. But they have like, at least that's now kind of like, I'm not going to say that's their Smash Brothers, but at least they have like a fighting game to throw characters in if they choose to. So, I mean, at least that's cool.
Yeah, which is neat.
Yeah. And by the way, Killer Instinct, decent game. Like, actually not terrible. That was like a game I got with Day One Xbox, and I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. It's actually a decent fighting game. And then they added all these cool characters and shit. I was just like, all right. So then you had all the consoles for that. Was there, again, same thing, did you have any particular console you favored, or have you basically been... Oh, you did? Okay. So, like, which one of those did you particularly favor?
PS2, without a doubt.
Just, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of games on there and stuff. So, the other thing, too, is that if I catch a theme, it seems like RPGs, that type of stuff, seem to be a big thing. Like, are you big into RPGs and everything?
I was when I was much younger, but not as I get older. I just don't have time to sit in front of a 90-hour game.
Yeah, exactly. Which sucks, but yeah, that's the truth. You're correct. That's why I stopped The Witcher. I love The Witcher. The game was fantastic. The characters were great. The voice acting was great. The graphics were great. I spent 65 hours in the game and I barely put a dent in the map, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I get this. It's good. It's good. I don't need to play any more of this. I'm fine. I have an informed opinion, but don't ask me what the end game was, or don't even ask me what like the middle of it was, because I don't fucking know. I played that game for so long and I felt like I did nothing.
I'm the same way. I think I got to like the second area after, not the start. I left the starting area, but the second area when you go on a boat in The Witcher 3.
That's exactly where I did.
That's where I stopped. Like, I was like, hey, there's Vikings here. Okay, cool. I've seen enough of this game. I need to play something else.
Yeah. Like, certain games will catch me and I want to complete them, but then certain games are too overwhelming and I have to stop. And that's how I almost felt with Metal Gear. But Metal Gear's gameplay loop was so goddamn good. Metal Gear 5.
Oh my god, no, don't say that's a good game.
Whoa!
Don't say that's a good game. Don't say that's a good game.
So, the story's trash. The story's really
and the
bad.
Gameplay's trash.
All right.
That game is just trash.
We're gonna move on. What?
I'd rather play 2. And 2 is trash.
Oh my god. Well, 2's not terrible. It's not.
2 is better than 5.
You're out of your mind. Oh my god. I love 5.
My biggest
I love the gameplay loop of 5. The story was utter, just nonsense. Which, by the way, real fast, most Kojima stuff is, like, I only feel like, the only one I feel that you could play by itself that would make majority of sense is literally 1. Like, Metal Gear Solid 1 is the one game that you could play that is, like, not so unbelievable or so outrageous or so outlandish, you know? Like, if you just kept that as like, play this story, that's cool, and it ends. Like, if you just played that and that was it, that would be like a decent story, but like every other story gets outrageous.
I love the Metal Gear thing, and it made me really mad that I didn't like I never finished 5. My problem, and I finished every other Metal Gear game, including Peace Walker and all of them. My biggest problem with 5 was they gave you this giant open world that was completely empty.
That's valid. There's a lot of emptiness in that game.
And I was like, where's like, give me the stealth action that I've come to love in the Metal Gear series, and it's not here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, that game was so much of a departure away from other Metal Gears entirely, you know, like, entirely, like, as far as just the gameplay of it, the open world aspect. I just thought it was, the coolest part is like, you literally could get dropped in and not go back to base and just do a ton of shit if you wanted to, or you could do that, like, structured mission thing, you know, where drop in, do a mission, go back to base, do this, or at least go back to your helicopter. You know, I thought that was cool how they mix that up. Full tonning shit is amazing. Sorry, it's still fun. I was doing it to everything. Like everything. I was like, I didn't care who you were. I'd knock you out, and just watching you fly up to the sky was awesome. Just like how varied you like could do things in the game, you know, just like how weird shit would happen, how you could like a horse would shit on the ground and then a dude would slip in it and fall. And I just thought those little weird things like that were just all over the place. How you could attack things from literally any angle, because like there's a base in the middle of nowhere and you could go at it from wherever you want to. I always thought that was cool. But dude, yeah, like I played it, and the only thing, of course, that I would say it's weird because what's confusing to me is the story, which again, if you know Metal Gear and you know this, you get it more. But like, I feel even if I watched an hour-long YouTube video, I still wouldn't get it. I would just be like, all right, I guess that's what that is. But what's odd to me is just the fact that like you play the game, you get to the quote unquote end, right? And you're like, cool, that's the end. But then you find out there's more missions that you do that are the same missions, just harder. And I'm like, and then after you beat those, you get a different ending. And I'm like, wait, like that's just, you know what I mean? Like here's what I'll say. Shadow of War, played it. I 100%ed it. I love that game. It had a similar thing where you played it to a certain point and that was quote unquote the end of the story, but then you can continue to play to get a better ending. The difference is at least the continuation of it had some variation in some missions, but then it eventually got to the point where you're just taking over fortresses and it just gets harder and harder and harder. But I mean, like Metal Gear, I remember playing it and I remember the very next mission after beating the game, quote unquote, I played, I'm like, I already did this shit. What is this? And I read online, I'm like, the last 13 missions of 50 are just the same missions you played earlier in the game, just on harder versions. I'm like, that's kind of dumb. I don't want to do that. Like,
thanks, Konami.
Yeah, thanks, Konami. Thanks, Konami. Dude, yeah, let's not talk about Konami.
No, let's not.
We'll get sued. That's probably a bad idea. But no, so then, okay, we'll go back. So then you kind of stuck PlayStation. What did you really play on Xbox and GameCube that made you continue to want it? Was it just kind of like PlayStation was your main console and then exclusives for Xbox and GameCube, basically?
Well, GameCube only had exclusives for the most part.
Right, exactly.
So, like, I bought my GameCube for Wind Waker.
Okay.
And then I played Smash. I played the Wave Race game. I played Luigi's Mansion, which I loved. There's a few Eternal Darkness.
Yep. That game will fuck with your head when it tells you it erases your save. You will throw something at the wall. You want to get so mad at that game, but then you realize, oh, that's part of the game.
Xbox was... The games that I remember playing on Xbox was original Halo, Stubbs the Zombie.
That used the Halo engine, don't forget.
It did use the Halo engine.
It's so stupid they advertised that. Like, that mattered at all. They were like...
Hey, Stubbs was a good game.
No, but it was. But what's odd, though, is like, did anyone look at the box and go, oh my god, this uses the Halo engine? Man, I gotta get this shit. Not a single person did that. No one did that.
No one did that.
I just thought it was so funny how it was like on the front of the box. Like, cause I worked for a game store and I read that. I'm like, what does that have to do with this game? Like, nothing. It's just so weird to advertise it like that.
And then I played Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Jade Empire, Halo 2. That's all I really remember playing on the Xbox.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, and Fable.
Yes. Yeah. You know what sucks is like original Xbox had solid RPGs like that were exclusives that some people remember as like some of their favorite games. Like, dude, Knights of the Old Republic, some people will say that's like their favorite game, period. And that's awesome. And then 360 had okay-ish exclusive RPGs. Like they lost Odyssey.
360 had a lot of good RPGs.
They did, but now they're non-existent.
They are non-existent. Like that's because like Lost Empire and Blue Dragon and Eternal Sonata.
Yeah, Eternal Sonata.
So. And like, fuck, I'd have to pull out the collection.
And all
the
other Fable games on there too, and then
but I mean,
Massive. It was Mass
Effect.
Mass Effect was exclusive. The first one was until they did the trilogy or whatever for PlayStation. But yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, the Xbox 360 had tons of RPGs.
That's true. Once I like boiled it down, but now the Xbox One is depressing because it straight doesn't. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't. Like
no, it doesn't.
Look how many just at the beginning of this year on PlayStation. How you had like Neo, you had Persona 5, you had all of these like crazy games coming out, and like none were coming to Xbox, and they weren't exclusively made by Sony. They weren't published by Sony. Because all of a sudden Neo went to PlayStation, or I went to PC. So it's like, is it really that difficult just to make it for Xbox? But either it's one of two things. Also, Xbox doesn't sell in Japan, so I get it. But I'm sure there's a Western audience that would appreciate it. But who knows? Maybe they just don't give a shit. Or maybe they just don't like the A, B, X, Y. I'm going to say that. That's what it is. They just don't like those buttons. They're like, no, we like symbols. Fuck your buttons. Fuck your letters. That's what they say. That's why. You know what it is? If Microsoft just changed it, I bet Japan would be all over it. They wouldn't have to change all their button configurations. That's why I was all weird, by the way, when Kingdom Hearts got announced for Xbox. I was like, huh? Like, you guys are actually doing that for Xbox? Now, again, super big Kingdom Hearts fan, but the last thing I thought with Kingdom Hearts was Xbox. Ever. Like, ever. But,
oh, yeah.
Good for them. They actually give a shit. And same thing with Final Fantasy. Like, when they announced Final Fantasy 13 was coming to Xbox. Or not, was it 13? Which one was it? 11? No, 12. Shit, which one did have lightning in it? Because that was
13.
It was 13, okay. So yeah, 13 was the one when they announced for 360, and everybody's like, oh my god, Final Fantasy's coming to Xbox, blah, blah, blah. Which they had 11, but that wasn't like, you know what I mean? Everybody looks at 11 like, oh, 11.
Yeah, exactly, because 14 is just a better RPG, MMO. Right,
exactly. And then, yeah, I mean, at least the thing that sucks is like the major players, you know, Square for the, well, I'm trying to think if Square has any exclusive RPGs on PlayStation that aren't Xbox as well. Like major ones, like AAA ones. I don't think they do.
Dragon Quest.
That's true. Shit. Never mind. Xbox still gets fucked. Anyways, so then, by the time the new systems came, or let me rephrase that, 360, PS3, Wii, you were completely making your own money and stuff. Did you same route, just buy them all?
No, I only bought a 360.
Oh, shit. Just decided. I mean, GameCube to Wii was a rough time because like you had so much hope, but then you quickly realized that Nintendo gave a shit about Wii Sports and Wii Play and Wii Fit and other shit that no Nintendo fan really cared about. Yep. PlayStation 3 was just expensive. That was the only problem. It was just like fucking expensive.
So I camped out at a Walmart to get my 360 at launch. And bought my 360 at launch with Condemn.
Yep.
And that was my game that I played for a while. And then I was almost 100% pure 360. Played all the handhelds, but mostly purely 360. I bought a PS3 the day Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. I bought the bundle. I think
that's the day that most people picked one up because like that was still really expensive, and that was the last model that they did that had the backward compatibility before they like nixed that out of it.
But I was working at GameStop at the time, so
well that works. That helps out a lot. Yeah, dude, working at a video game store, that'll help you out quite a bit when it comes to acquiring lots of different things.
Yes, it does.
And by the way, that doesn't mean stealing, folks. That means just being there and having things in front of you and easily pre-ordering things. We didn't steal things.
Like, so I was working at GameStop at that point. So I bought the PS3 when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out. I bought the bundle.
Right. That was like a gunmetal gray PS3, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it had like old Snake on the box.
That's right. Correct. Yeah, it was weird. It was like posed. It was like old Snake on the box. It was a white box. I remember that.
Yeah. And I bought a Wii for Skyward Sword.
How did that work out for you?
Skyward Sword is my least favorite Zelda game behind Majora's Mask.
That's why I asked. I was like, as soon as you said you bought it for Skyward Sword, I was like, I wonder how happy he was after you played that. I should have went 360 route. I should have. So I had an Xbox, I had a PlayStation. I was, doing all that. I went with the Wii first, only because I fell into that Super Nintendo hype, and my wife was really big into Mario Party and WarioWare and all that. And I was like, you know what? I'll get a Wii first. Got it. Realized, wow, what did I do? Then I got a 360, which then I was like, I got the 360 right when like Gears came out.
Okay.
And, dude, good Lord. I was just so happy with Gears. I was like, this game is so damn good. And then, I didn't get a PS3 until what happened was like my father-in-law had a PS3. He had the OG 60 gig fat, all backward compatible. Right when they dropped the price, he bought it. It started shitting out. The power supply went bad. His son was coming into town. So instead of waiting for him to get his fixed, he straight just went and bought another one. He just went and bought a slim so he could have one right away. He eventually got the fat one fixed and he's just like, I'll sell it to you. And I bought it because of Little Big Planet.
There you go. That was a good game.
The thing is at the time, me, my wife, and my 2 kids at the time were just playing the shit out of it. So I was like, yeah. And then of course in my head, because I'm stupid, I went, you know what? I'm going to need a PS3 when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. Still didn't see that. Still don't see that.
Still waiting.
Still waiting. Dude, how are you going to jump a whole damn console? Like, how are you going to just, like, the longest lasting console life cycle, by the way, you straight jumped. You were just like, 2, all right, we're going to make 3, and they kept teasing it, and then, like, it just never happened. So, yeah, like, I used 360 for most everything, but then all the exclusives were, PS3 and Wii, and that's kind of how I am now. Like, I didn't make that mistake again. I was like, no, I'm getting an Xbox One, and then my PS4 and my Switch are just kind of exclusive machines. That's kind of how I go now. What did you do now? So, like, what are your habits like today? Like, what are you doing today now?
So the 360 PS3 Wii era, I took a break from consoles for a while and became a hardcore PC gamer.
Oh, you turned into one of those guys. Got it.
But I wasn't a master race like, okay, everything's better on PC. Right. I just started playing like a lot of StarCraft, and World of Warcraft took over my life for 8 years.
And I mean, that's understandable because it's not like you had an option to play those on a console. Like,
yeah, I mean, exactly. It was basically I played World of Warcraft,
right,
like 12 hours a day when I was going to college.
Jesus Christ! All right. Well, again, you're going to college. What do you got to do? Learn? Play WoW.
WoW is the reason I dropped out of college. Failed out of college. So yeah, I was cutting class to play WoW. And then I met my wife, and I got back into console gaming. And then this console cycle, I went Xbox One when it launched, and regretted the hell out of it. And I bought a PS4, and I love it to death. It's my main console, is my PS4 right now. So
do you still have your Xbox One?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay, cool. Have you gotten Switch yet?
I actually got a Switch for me and my wife's 2-year wedding anniversary.
There you go.
That's what my wife got me.
Aw, she sounds awesome.
That was
good for her.
That was like about a month ago.
There you go. So then, obviously, so you played Mario then? Like, that's a stupid question, right?
I got this. She bought me the Switch like the day Mario came out.
Right.
So yes, Mario was the first thing I played on it.
I can imagine, like, I would love to see sales figures for when those Nintendo exclusives launch. Like, like I would love to see what Switch sales look like the week Mario came out, or the week, will Zelda launch with it, but like Mario Kart, and then just all these like tentpole like Nintendo exclusives. I would love to see what sales look like that week compared to like the weeks beforehand, Because I know, like, so many people, at least now they're plentiful where you can just kind of go into a store and pick one up, thank God. So,
not in New York or New Jersey.
Really?
Yep. Or California. My buddy had to, like, camp outside of Best Buy when he knew they were getting them in to buy one. Dude. And this was last week.
Wow. Why am I slipping? Because, like, and the Best Buy is here. Because I used to work at Best Buy, so I, like, check occasionally, and I'll just be like, oh, I'm glad you guys got those in stock now. You don't have to have 500 people a day calling and shit. Dude, like, I went into this, on Black Friday, I went into a Best Buy, and there was, like, 50 of them stacked, just, like, hanging out. And I was like, oh, that's actually shocking. But now that you just told me that, in store, nobody has them in stock, so never mind. I literally am checking on the app as we're talking. You can ship them all day long, but you straight can't go into a store and buy one.
Buy one. Correct.
Wow. That day must have been special then. So, whatever. Yeah, right before Christmas, though, it seems like Mario time up until Black Friday, I was going into stores and just seeing them hanging out. I went to a Target the other day and I saw the Mario bundle one, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I haven't seen one of those in the wild. Like, that's nice to see.
Around here, Targets are our Target around here gets restocked on Switches like daily, but they sell out like very quickly
because there's moms wanting to get one for Timmy, so they wait there like a hawk waiting for those boxes to get opened.
Probably,
dude. I had that happen with 360s when I worked at Game Crazy. They were all over it.
The Wii was the big console when I was working at GameStop, when I was the store manager at GameStop.
I got the hell out of Game Crazy right before PS3 and Wii launched. I left to move to Arizona and stuff. I got the hell out of there, and I turned into that asshole who called the game store every day. Did you guys get Wii's in stock? I completely turned into that asshole that I hated talking to about 360s. So
the worst part about the Wii launch was we had taken 23 pre-orders on it.
Oh no.
When we got our shipment, we got 12 consoles.
And then the best thing in the world is you have all these people asking about it day one, and then you have to just kind of put your arms in the air and go, well, I don't know. And, you know.
Like, we knew when we were getting them, like, you can check your boxes and check the SKU and see what's in the SKU. But it was like, so anytime you ever, just for anybody out there, if this is in the podcast or not, if you call a GameStop and they're like, we don't know when we're getting them again, they're lying. They just don't want to check the SKUs boxes that they're getting shipments of.
Yeah.
To be completely honest.
They also don't want to tell you so they don't get bombarded with calls that day too. Because that was also another thing too. Like, we were told we don't know when we're getting them and everything. And then you could look, like, especially at Best Buy, I can go into their inventory system and go, oh, well, there's 20 on a truck. They'll be here on the next truck, which will be like Wednesday. But of course, if I told people that, there'd be a line of people outside. So the problem is now the internet and Reddit and all these awesome websites are like, I just checked my Best Buy and there's 30 of them. Check yours. I'm like, oh God, why are you guys fucking with these poor Best Buy people? Because now you're going to bombard them on the truck days. Like, it was crazy. But I mean, yeah, I was, I was so happy to get out of, like, I actually started working at Best Buy right when PS3s and Wii's became more plentiful, so thankfully I didn't have to deal with that, the whole like shortage era. But yeah, I mean, yeah, now it became that way with the Switch, which I was kind of like, I didn't have to hunt mine down terribly hard. Like, I got mine around launch because I had a Wii U and I had the exclusive games for that, which I traded in all of those and didn't pay anything out of pocket for the Switch. But I mean, I just didn't really. It wasn't terribly hard. I did have to wait, but it wasn't like I wasn't one of those fiends calling everybody. So, you know what I mean? I was just like, I'll find one. I'm not freaking out to get it. I'll just get it when I get it. And then I just went to a GameStop and they were just like hanging out. I was like, cool. I'll take that.
Yeah, I didn't freak out about the Switch myself because I had a Wii U. And I had purchased the Wii U specifically to play Breath of the Wild. Like back when around when the Wii U launched. I have the not Skyward Sword.
Wind Waker.
The Wind Waker console.
Right.
Now that I think about it, my wife also bought that for me for my birthday.
She just loves you. She
does love me. We've been together for over 10 years, so yeah, she better love me.
I would hope so. Like, that'd be kind of mean, but that's fine. But yeah, she got you all the nice stuff to play Zelda on.
Yeah, like I said, Zelda's my favorite franchise. So I bought the Wii U specifically for Breath of the Wild. So when they were like, yeah, it's coming out, they pulled the Twilight Princess. Oh, it's coming out on the old console and the new console. I was like, I'm going to play it on the console that I got specifically to play this game on. And I beat that game in like a week.
I would say I would do that for Kingdom Hearts 3, but that's not going to happen. So I bought a PS3 for Kingdom Hearts 3 and I can't go back and do that. So I was going to say, like, at least you were cool, like, and you got to play Breath of the Wild on a Wii U. And the thing is, apparently, it wasn't terribly different. So it's not like you got some, like, super gimped, like, awful version of it or anything, like, apparently it just ran a bit smoother and had a bit higher frame rate, but that's it. And
on the Wii U.
On the Wii U, right. Or, no, on the Wii U.
On the Wii U.
The Switch, so here's the thing. I had the Wii U version, and then what's funny is I kept telling my kid, like, I'm like, because I thought I wouldn't have time to play it, but my son's really big into Zelda. He has all the 3DS Zelda games. He likes it and stuff. And I was just like, do you want Breath of the Wild? And I kept telling him on the Wii U when we had it. And he's like, no, I got other stuff to play right now. I don't really want to play that. I'm like, all right, fine. And then when we got the Switch, I told him, I'm like, I'm trading in all of our Wii U shit. They're probably going to do a lot of these games again on the Switch, which they did Mario Kart and stuff. And I'm like, Smash is inevitable. And then I was like, when all those come out, I'll rebuy them. But obviously the number one game we bought with the Switch was Zelda. And he's like, Dad, can I try Zelda? And I gave it to him. And I didn't see my Switch for like a month. Like, he was just like, Dad, this game is incredible. I'm like, yeah, I tried to tell you that a very long time ago. And you straight told me, no, Dad, I got other things to play. And he's trying to do everything in the game. Like, the DLC came out. The new DLC apparently came out like yesterday.
It came out when they announced the
which is cool. I like when they do that shit where it's like it's available right now. So, but again, he's grounded. Maybe stop slacking off in school. And he did buy the season. Is it part of the season pass? That is the second part of it, right?
I believe so.
Right. So when he gets ungrounded, he can enjoy that. But he actually told me, like, after he played and beat it, he's like, Dad, I want to buy the season pass with my money. I'm like, all right, cool. So
there you
go. So now, like, obviously you're married, you have a wife, you have a job, so you don't get to play as much now. What are the games you've been playing lately?
Stardew Valley.
That'll suck up most of your time right there.
I play a lot of Hearthstone.
There you go. By the way, how has that not come to Switch or any of the other consoles?
I think it's inevitable that it's going to come to Switch.
If it doesn't, it's like, come on. Dude.
It's on iPads, and I can play Hearthstone on my phone.
Seriously. Like, why is it not? If it plays on a phone, there's no excuse. Like, there's zero excuse why it can't come to Switch.
What else have I been playing? I'm trying to beat Assassin's Creed Origins right now, but I kind of burnt myself out on that game.
Yeah, that was a concern I had because it looked amazing, and I was like, yeah, I want to play it, but I was really big into Shadow of War, and I did not want to get Shadow of War, play the hell out of it, then 2 weeks later play Assassin's Creed. So I purposefully like held off on that game to give myself some like space between two gigantic third-person action open-world games. Like, I just didn't want to do that shit back-to-back. Same thing with, I bought my friend, I got picked up Prey from one of my friends, and I really wanted to play it back in May. I just never got a chance to. But then Wolfenstein came out. So I was like, I'll play Wolfenstein. Now I'm like, I don't want to play Prey right now. I just played a first-person shooter. So I might play South Park.
Prey is not a first-person shooter.
Is it? Okay, what would you consider it then?
Survival horror.
I thought, isn't it not first person though?
It's
perspective.
It's a first person shooter as much as Condemned is a first person shooter.
Got it. Okay. So let me rephrase that. First person perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I don't want to get burned out on those types of games like back to back and back. Like I think the next game I'm going to play is either South Park or Evil Within.
Evil Within is an amazing game. South Park's a good game. It took me 3 days to platinum South Park.
Whoa. That doesn't sound terribly hard to do. The first South Park game's incredible. Let me rephrase that, because there's a lot of South Park games. Stick of Truth was super good and hilarious and the funniest game I've ever played. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the second one. But again, I just want to mix up variety because I don't want to just be first-person shooters all day long. I don't want to just be RPGs all day long. I'd rather get a mix of stuff. Evil Within, another really fun game, but story was like, what the fuck is even happening right now? I don't get it.
Wait till you play the second one.
Great. Can't wait. That dude, by the way, speaking of really, really good story and characters, Wolfenstein 2. Holy shit. Like, wow. Really good stuff. Really good.
It's on that Shadow of War, they're both on my Christmas list because I was like, my wife always gets mad at me because I make enough money that I can buy like a game once a month.
Right.
So, like, I normally buy everything for myself.
Correct. My wife does, too. She gets mad at me for that.
So, my wife gets really mad at me. Like, every Christmas, she's like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, I have everything. So like this year I bought like Persona and Neo and Horizon and like the games
Right.
the games at the beginning of the year, and like the stuff that came out later that I could wait on. I was like, put those on my Amazon Christmas list.
There you go. Just do that. Yeah, Wolfenstein, really. Shadow of War I couldn't wait on. Like, there was a lot of, like, dude, October was a disaster. Like, there was just every week, and then some weeks there was 3, AC Origins, Mario, Wolfenstein came out the same day. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what do we do? What are we doing? What are we doing right now? Like, how are we doing this?
Wait on AC. I couldn't wait on AC. I had already waited a year for a new Assassin's Creed game, so I couldn't wait on AC.
Yeah, that's why I had to. I did Shadow of War, and I don't even like Lord of the Rings, but Shadow of War is just phenomenal. Like, gameplay is so good. So I just went that route, and then I went Mario, and then I just held off everything else because I got some time. So
I'm still like debating because I kind of don't want to support EA at this point in time, which is why I'm kind of debating whether or not I want to take Shadow of War off my list.
Shadow of War is not EA.
Yes, it is.
It's WB.
Oh, it's WB.
Yeah.
I'm gonna punch my buddy Caleb in the mouth.
It's WB, bro.
He's like, you can't buy Shadow of War. It's an EA game.
It sure
and I was
isn't.
like, are you sure? I thought it was made by WB. And he's like, no, it's an EA game.
No, it sure is a WB game. The only games that EA had this year that were coming out were all the sports games, obviously, and then Battlefront. That was it. They didn't have anything else. So that's it. WB had that. Bethesda fucking sweeped up. They had Doom and Skyrim come out for Switch. They had Wolfenstein and Evil Within come out. And they had
Skyrim VR, which I hear is amazing.
Like, Bethesda just put out a ton of games out of nowhere. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Ubisoft had Assassin's Creed, South Park. Yeah. Why am I blanking? Of course,
the Assassin game.
Dishonored was Bethesda.
Dishonored.
Yeah, I actually have that. The expansion for that. Microsoft had Forza. They didn't have Crackdown or anything. Sony had nothing. Oh no, I'm sorry. They had Knack 2. I apologize. Like nobody. Yeah, but EA. The only thing EA put out was Battlefront, and then all their sports games. They didn't have anything else really.
So, really?
Yeah. Like if you think about it, like, oh no, they had Need for Speed, which just bleh, whatever. Oh no, what? They had Sims 4 as well. Sims 4 came out on console, and that was it.
You forgot Horizon Zero Dawn for Sony too, by the way.
Oh no, Sony. Oh no. I'm talking about like more holiday-ish time frame.
Oh,
yeah, holiday like September on. I would say, yeah. Sony had a ton of shit at the beginning of the year. Like holy shit, they like every month had some next level shit. Horizon is still my game of the year over Zelda. It's really good. It's really good. I know I just lost you. It's okay.
Well, no. When will this podcast go live?
Tuesday. This upcoming Tuesday, which will be the 12th? Sure.
Okay. Because I'm going to drive listeners to it. So,
okay, good. Yeah.
My game of the year, by the way, which I won't reveal on my podcast for another 2 weeks, is still Neo.
See, I didn't play Neo, so. But I mean, I heard it was really good. Like, I heard it was awesome. So, I mean, it's funny because like the only reason why I say Horizon my game of the year because my expectations for it weren't so high. You know what I mean? So, like for example, everybody knew Zelda was going to be amazing, right? Everybody knew. Nobody had a doubt in their head that Zelda was going to suck, right? Everybody's like, this game's going to be incredible, and it was really good, and it probably met people's expectations, or in some cases blew them out of the water, right? Cool. Mario, same thing. All these things. Horizon, I was like, let's see if Guerrilla can make a game that's not Killzone. Let's see what happens. Okay, there's robot dinosaurs. Let's see.
Horizon is a phenomenal game.
It's ridiculous. And then I was like, let's see if they can explain robot dinosaurs in a way that makes sense. Let's see if I give a shit about these characters. Let's see how this gameplay is. And all of it was ridiculously good. So I was like, yeah, that blew me out of the water. I was like, that's it. Now, I have 3 weeks to play another game, and I don't think anything's going to beat it. So, and like I said, I love my Xbox. I prefer Xbox over PlayStation, but shit, Horizon was way too good. Like Horizon was really good. So, yeah.
No, for me, I think I've fallen into the same category. Like I went into Neo expecting nothing, and then I played it, and then I couldn't put it down.
It was just like my second best game of the year is Cuphead, though. Cuphead was just, I expected Cuphead to be good, but I was just like still blown away by like all the different bosses and the art style and just like the charm of it. I was just like, holy crap, this game is really good.
I can't give Cuphead any game awards this year. I just can't.
The Game Awards gave him like 9 or something stupid. they got a bunch.
like art direction, yeah, but I mean like when it comes to like top games of the year, and it's only because I've played that game since like 2011 at every PAX that we've been to.
Oh, well, there you go. See, I didn't do any of that. I was just like, give me Cuphead. And I also went on media blackout. So like that first thing they showed, I was like, well, that's really good. I don't want to see shit. And I just stayed away from it. And then when it came out, I was like playing it and just like, holy crap, look at this game. It's awesome. But yeah, especially if you played it for years and you're just like, oh, I guess I finally get to play the stages all combined into one sitting. Like not just this stage and then this stage and then this stage. So that works out.
That's the thing. We've been doing the podcast for so long, and when we go to PAX and like Darren Cobb has become like a friend of ours. I think that's his last name. What the hell is Darren's name these days?
These days,
well, the guy that does the sound direction for Pyre and
no idea off the top of my head. But anyways.
Like, because we get to go to all these shows and we really like the indie people, and we hit it off a lot of times with the indie developers. So it would be like, oh, we have a new level of Cuphead. You want to try it? And we'd be like, yeah, sure, of course. And it's,
so you were drip fed Cuphead over years, and then when it came out, you were like, that's cool. Whereas I was like, I saw like a little taste of it and I was like, stop, I don't want to see it. And then I just experienced it all like in one weekend. Like I just went nuts. So it was really fun.
Game is ridiculously hard, and I applaud it. Being an old school gamer, I was like, thank you for being a hard game.
It was hard, but never did I get so pissed off to where I felt like I just didn't want to play anymore. Because I also, by the way, I'm like glutton for punishment. I am really big into Trials HD, so trying the same stage over and over and over and over and over again just to get 0.2 seconds shorter, like that's what I do. I'm just stupid when it comes to certain games like that. But no, I mean, it was hard, but I didn't think it was like so hard to where it pissed me off or anything. I was just like, this game's fine. So no big deal. I mean, it's difficult. Games aren't supposed to be easy, people. You're not supposed to walk your hand through shit. It's supposed to be a little hard. Yeah. Wolfenstein, I died a good amount on certain sections, and that was more of a game I was getting pissed off about because I just felt so inconsistent at times. I'm like, wait, who shot me this time? Where was this enemy? I didn't fucking see him. So that's all right.
The only boss in Cuphead that frustrated me was the bee.
See, I didn't have problems with the bee. Like, I didn't
only one that frustrated me.
Dragon.
Everybody was like, "Oh, the dragon's the worst boss." Yeah,
dragon.
I beat the dragon like second try.
that dragon pissed me off. Bee, I wouldn't say it didn't take me too many tries. When I found out that I won't get into the end boss, that last series of that would piss me off. I'm like, wait, how many of these do I gotta do? And then if I die, I have to start all over.
A lot.
What? I was like, yeah, that kind of sucked, but overall it's good. So if people wanted to check you out online, on the Twitters, and obviously you have a podcast, feel free to promote yourself. Go right ahead.
I don't do Twitter because I think Twitter is for celebrities.
Okay. Cool.
You can check my stuff out. I run the Gaming Death podcast. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much everywhere, except for YouTube. So that's the Gaming Death podcast, hosted by me and my buddy Caleb. New episodes every week normally. Aside from that, I'm on Facebook, and you can find me on every single gaming console and Battle.net, Steam, as DeathofNation.
There you go. At least you were nice. You were fortunate enough to get the same thing for everything. So congratulations on that.
Well, not very many people want to be DeathofNation. So.
True, but at least you were still able to get it, because like sometimes people get certain people have gamer tags who I won't say. I'll call him out. Whatever. Mike, his gamer tag on PlayStation and Xbox is "I hate Mitch Power," because he got mad at me that I didn't buy a 360, so he made that his gamer tag. The only thing that sucks is on PlayStation he can't change it. But he refuses. But he refuses to change it on Xbox, even though I've offered to pay him to change it. And he's like, "No, it's a better story. I'm going to keep this forever." And I'm like, "All right." So whatever, that's fine. I'll give him a plug too. Go bother him.
I had to change my gamer tag because I first made my gamer tag on the original Xbox when Xbox Live came out, and I was originally uppercase X, lowercase x, anime junkie, lowercase x, uppercase X. Yeah, it was cool. I was edgy.
Everybody forgets the X's at the beginning, and I always hated that when it was like a higher case X. I'm like, oh, you're one of those guys. God, please change that to something else. And then we matured. So at least Xbox, for a nominal fee, will let you change your gamer tag. So that's always good. So
the only place I wasn't able to get my username, which I've now been going for like 16 years, was Skype. So.
Well, I mean, again, you can't catch it all. That's you gotta try. As soon as a social media platform comes out, you gotta throw it out there. Except for Twitter,
always.
That's for celebrities.
Yep. Always.
All right, well, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all your stories. And again, thanks for being on here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
All right, and again, thank you, Chris, for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your stories. And again, if you guys didn't catch it, Gannon, Zelda, haha, very funny. I'm almost positive, though, that's not why it's his favorite game. It also is a good franchise. So, if you guys want to check out the podcast he's on, it is called the Gaming Death Podcast. It is on iTunes, which I will have a link in the show notes, as well as his gamer tag and everything, all of the above, is DeathofNation, all one word, no spaces. So if you guys want to check him out on any of those platforms, feel free to. And again, if you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Again, we also have a Facebook group, Growing Up Gaming Podcast Group. Go ahead and search it in Facebook. You'll find it there. And again, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Hopefully people hear this and want to be on it and share their ridiculous stories of, I would say, theft allegedly, emulation allegedly, a lot of allegedly's being thrown around, or just cool, stories and everything. So, again, thank you guys so much for listening each and every week to the show. Hope you guys enjoy. Leave me all your feedback, ratings on iTunes, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.